Good evening, everyone. Hopefully, you're enjoying your day and it's been super amazing. Today, we're going to go over some learning because learning is the source of power. And yep, you can see the shadow and everything. Yeah, this the light on and that. We're gonna do some learning, introductory learning on this thing called graph algorithms. It's part of what I'm learning about right now. Well, it's not. I've learned it, but I'm real understanding it. But I thought, why not start giving the knowledge and teaching it so we can have fun with it, because learning is fun and it's going to be a series. We're going to be together, enjoy learning and find the learning super fun, and hopefully you will stay around with it. Yes, I'm on the floor. It's okay. Setup wise is not the best, as you can see the shadows, but it's okay. So how are we going to do this? So, and then we get this activity sheet, and this activity sheet gives the questions that were part of him. He is like the I am the enemy of this. So we're going to be going through the activity sheet from this, because this is the full thing, but it'll come with activity sheet 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It gets harder and more monstrous, but we're going to focus on activity sheet 1. Before we start doing activity sheet 1, this video will be getting the knowledge and understanding we need to be able to answer some questions, because how can we answer something without understanding what we need to have in our brain to answer it? And that's where I have been, understanding all of this, most of it, and writing down things so we can learn it together. So here on my notepad, it's called Mathematics Workbook. If you want to order the book, it's price not disclosure right now. We're going to talk about that in never. But as you can see here, I have wrote down a list of topics about this activity one. Now you're reading this and you're thinking, what does any of this mean? I don't understand. Who is prim? Who is cruscal? What is subgraph? All of this. You might have heard one of the words before or all of that, but today I'm going to explain it very simply. Baby language. Even though we're not a baby, we're just going to have fun with it and relax, okay? All we need is to know what each of them do, and then we can answer the questions. We're not going to answer these questions today, but that's for a different video. We're just going to go over what each of these concepts are. And you do not need to understand all of it. We just need to understand some of it, because understanding comes from layers and layers. Now I am still new to, I am learning, and this is part of me understanding how to display for you all. So if there's anything I missed out, the comment section is there for it. And this this will be a little bit, I'm not the most knowledgeable on these topics. That's why I'm going through the worksheets. It'll get harder and I have to understand a lot, but I'm aiming to deliver understanding to you that makes sense and is simple to understand. Now hopefully you understand that, and I think, why not start learning now? Let's start.
Yeah, I'm gonna teach you, and you're gonna look at me.
Move out the way, okay? You don't need to come in here. Okay? Okay. So before we start, I've got a visualization to visualize these topics from here onto a sort of graph. So ironic because it says graph, okay. So we have this graph. We'll work out what this graph means. The type of graph, these are the types of graph. Okay, we'll work out what this means simply. These four are types of graphs. So as you have, for example, types of graph, you can have, and these are okay. We'll Okay, you understand what it means by types of graph. They're just different types of graph. Yes. These are properties of graphs. So a graph can be connected, can be weighted, it can be cyclic. And I put these arrows together because these properties are part of each of these graphs. These graphs can have any of these properties. And similarly, these properties can be part of these graphs. So they're mainly the same thing. These graphs can have these properties. That's why I put these together. And here, this is a specific type of graph that you can get from a spanning tree, a minimum weight spanning tree. Yep, you will find out what that means. I know there's lots of spanning weight you don't understand. We will get there. We will get there. Okay. And these two are ways you can calculate the minimum weight spanning tree of any graph. Okay, these are what we call algorithms. Now we know what algorithm is. Algorithm is a robot. It does step. Let me get something to eat. Let me do this. Let me run around. Those are steps in an algorithm. And we will talk about that when we get to this. So without further ado, that was the visualization of these topics in here. It's good to think about the big picture, how each of them links to each other. And yep, it might be simpler to link here. Later on, it might be a little bit hard. So without further ado, let's go into this enemy right here, a graph. Okay, which is yeah, okay, we will put the graph over here. Okay, what is a graph? You might think a graph is something like this with a x-axis and a y-axis. You get these points and then you can draw a line. This is not what we're going to be talking about. This is not the type of graph. We are in graph theory, the theory of graphs. A graph is a visual way to show how things are connected. Let's show you in real life. This is McDonald's. Why did I say McDonald's in general? Because, you know, my younger brother likes this restaurant because of the chips. This is McDonald's. This is me. Let's draw you me as here. This is me. This is McDonald's. This is let's say this is clothing, and here is school. Okay, this is random. Obviously, there won't be school next to a restaurant because then children, they start eating and then, you know, the blood level or the glucose levels increase. So you can get from school to McDonald's here. You can get to the clothing. He can walk here. Clothing, you can get here to here. School, you can get here to here. Okay, so what we just showed you is a graph. A graph is a visual way to show how things are connected. The things here are the objects and people. This is a place, this is a place, this is a place. They're not objects. I meant to say buildings. McDonald's is building, school is a building, clothing is a building, this is a person. Let's say a person is a building. That doesn't make any sense. And the connections are these lines here. They show how you can get from a building to a building, or no, they show you the path to get from a building to a building, or a person to get to a building. So if he wants to go to McDonald's, you can go to the clothing, then you can go to McDonald's, or you can go to the clothing, school, and then McDonald's. Okay, that's a graph. In scientific terms or graph theory, a graph is something that has vertices and edges. So we can name McDonald's as here, this point, clothing as this point, school this point, and person as this point. And the graph would be something like this. These are edges, and these are vertices. So that is essentially what a graph means, okay? Visual way connection, you understand now. Okay, Now we move on to oh wait, you can get that down notes wise. I don't think it's about understanding in the brain. The notes is there, but you have to understand the idea. I hope I explained the idea. If not, comment section is right there. Okay, now a subgraph. Okay, now we can think about subgraph relating to a graph. Okay, because the word graph is there and sub is a prefix. It's a Latin word meaning under or a part of. So a subgraph is a graph that is part of a graph. This is a graph here. We'll do something such as this. Here, here, here. Okay. We normally name the vertices V1, V2, V3, V4, V5 because that's the conventional way. Okay, a subgraph is a graph that is part of a graph. So it can take some of the vertices, some of the edges, and it's essentially a smaller version of this graph. So a subgraph of this could be this, this, and this. We can do here, here. In this case, we took these three vertices and we took these two edges, and that's what a subgraph is. It's a graph that is part of a graph because this is part of it. You can take this apart and say this is this, and this. You put that in here to form that graph, and we just took this part and made it our own graph. So the sub means a part of such. The same thing with submarine. Marine, it's under, but that's not relevant. I meant to say submachine gun. Okay, I know gun, not we know we don't need to use the guns. That's not good. But the submachine gun is the smaller part of the machine gun. It fires slowly. It does lower damage and lower power. Essentially, a graph that can be smaller than this. Yes, a graph that is part of a graph. It can take all of this as a graph because it's sub. I think in the definition wise, it's where it takes vertices and edges that are a part of the graph's vertices and edges. So it takes some of them from that. That's what the definition says. So in technicality wise, you could take all of these vertices and edges from a graph here and replicate it here, and it could still be called a subgraph. That is technically wise. Why? Oh my god, I think that's the definition. But this is what I mean. Subgraph, graph that is part of a graph. Induced subgraph. Induced is a super word that I still do not know the definition of. I think induced is to bring with you from Latin or Greek or something. Induced subgraph is the same as a subgraph, except the vertices you choose all edges associated with the vertices must be included. Let's give you another example of a graph, which is set of vertices with edges, as we can say here, visual where things are connected. Another example of a graph. Let's do this. We do here. Oh no, I missed that. We do here, here. Okay, we'll name this V1, V3, V4. Okay, let's say we have a subgraph that includes, that is this, these three vertices here. Okay, an induced subgraph, you have to bring with you all the edges, all of them, all, I'm capitalizing this, all with you, that are connected with each of them. So this is connected with that, this is connected with that, and this is connected with that. So all the edges that are connected from here to here, here to here, or here to here, just with these vertices, you have to bring them with you. That is an induced subgraph. If you did this, this is a subgraph. This is not induced because you missed the edge that connects this with this. Because you included these vertices, you have to include all of the edges from these vertices. I know. Induced, they know, because you need everything. That's why you have to bring with you. This is a good example. If you go shopping and you need to bring the crisp, you need to bring all the flavors of the crisp, because a crisp such as the Walkers, they got the red, blue, green, RGB, they got the red, blue, green. You need all of them. You need to bring all of them with you. That's why the induced one here, there's no point bringing Walkers like this. You need all of the stuff. And that is why you must have it. Okay? A subtree. We're moving on to the subtree. Same thing. Sub, a part of. A part of. So what does it mean? A subtree is a graph that is part of a tree. What is a tree? A tree is, let's visualize what a tree is. A tree, this is a tree. This is a tree. These are its branches, or I know they look like hands, these are branches. So this is a tree. Now we can talk about a tree in this case. A tree is a graph that is connected with no cycles. Now, we do not know what this word connected means. We do not know what this word cycles mean. It does not make sense. So what we're going to do is we're going to come back to this. We're going to put exclamation mark, I am coming back to you. And then we'll retreat as if we are removing the abilities of retreating power and all that. And we're going to come back to this. We're going to come back to this as well, because we need to know what a tree is. And to know what a tree is, we need to know what connected is. And to know what connected is, we need to know what cycle is. And when we need to know what...
Can you just move on to the...
Okay, I get it. Okay, don't come in the video. Don't come in the video, okay? Because this is my video. Okay. Okay. Aside from that, I don't know what that was. Okay. Properties. This is what we were talking about here. These are properties of a graph. A graph either has it or is not. Let's talk about connected. Now, a lot of people would not know what a connected graph is, but you do know what a word connected is. It means to join together. This is solar panel, and this is wind energy. A solar panel and wind energy connected to provide ultimate blast. Or you could just say Or we could just say these points here are stars, and stars can be connected from constellations. Because when you look at the sky, stars, you can connect them to form images of, people, or I don't know. So we know what the word connected means. So a connected graph is where all of the vertices all of the vertices are connected. You can see a path from them. Now, we do not know what the word connected really means. No, actually, we do. What am I talking about? Okay, I'm meant to say, how do we know that each of them are connected towards each other? Well, if it's connected, if there's a path from one vertex to any of the other vertices. You don't need to know, what a path means. A path just means walking in an area. We can talk about path a little bit later, but that's not really necessary for this. We know what a path is generally, okay? So this is connected because if I want to get from here to here, I have to go this way, this way. I want to get to here, here, here. That is connectivity. Say connectivity if all of this is connected. Now, let's talk about a cycle. A cycle. We know what cycle means. It's not cycling a bicycle. Maybe it is because the biker is cycling and it goes around and around and around and around. That's why you have to do it. That's what you have to do to win the game in cycling. You have to run around the bicycle instantly. Cycle is if you can get from one place to another. I start here, I'm cycling. I'm going from here back and forth like a cyclist running the bicycle again and again and again and again. I'm wasting lots of ink, I'll stop. So that's essentially what a cycle is. If you can see an area where you can go back and forth, that's a cycle. More or less, if you have a starting vertex and you can take a path back to the end vertex while only using the edges once, that is a cycle. Honestly, that's the more formal definition. Simplicity wise, we know a cycle is if something is repeated, if something can go around and around. If we can see that, that is a cycle. Another one is weighted. Okay, weighted. We know that you can increase power and strength by using weight. Someone picked up this, which is 4. This will be heavier than this. Weighted refers to the heavier. Weighted refers to how much weight each journey takes. Another graph, which is a set of vertices and edges. This is, well, let's label it V1, V2, V3, V4. Okay, this to this could take 2 let's say 2 meters, but in this sense we just write the numerical value because that's the weight of it. We don't do the metrics here, we just talk about it numerically. This takes a distance of 2. This takes a distance of 1. This is harder to get through, this is easier. This may take a distance of 3. This may take a distance of 2. Okay, so each of them has a distance. It's not a free journey such as this one, where I won't label it this time, but you understand what I mean. Oh wait, no, not this. Now I'm here. It's not easy as, I can teleport. I can teleport quick. No, there's distances to these. This is what weighted means. Unweighted is this. Weighted is this, because you need to move and move. It's just got distance that how much it takes to get from here to here. Okay. So hopefully you understand the connected, cycle, and weighted. Maybe explanation is, a bit maybe hopefully the explanation is there. Obviously the comment section is there if you need it, so I can explain a little bit more. Like I said, this is the first video of the series, so it will be a bit rusty, but I'm still evolving, improving. So now we know what cycle and connected is. We can go on to, we have unlocked the tree. Let's look at this tree. Do you see any cycles? Do you see anything? Or I can repeat it without going back to without doing this or going back to the edge, because we're talking about cycle as in, oh yeah, we can go around and around. No. Do you see connected? This can go here, this can go here, because they're there. Yes. So that is what a tree is. A tree is a graph that is connected with no cycles. This is not a tree. This is a tree, because there's no cycles. You can do 1, 2, you can connect them. And it doesn't have to include all the vertices. It could be, this is the other tree where it has lots of stuff. It can have just 2 of the vertices, and this is a tree. This is a tree. It's just a graph, a subgraph of this that is there. A tree, a subtree. Okay, a subtree can wait. Okay, a subtree is a tree, a graph that is part of a tree. So if this was the tree, a subtree could be maybe this. I mean, that's not a good example. Let's add a little bit more. Say the tree was this, and the subtree could be this. Okay, very good information. I would test at this point, but we do not have any people apart from this person, and honestly, I don't want to see his face.
That's not very nice.
Okay, you'll come late. You'll come to the video later on. Okay, we will put this away for now. Now we know what a tree is. You go to a spanning tree. Now, a spanning tree is the same as the tree. It has to be connected. It has to be connected and no cycles. But the spanning means, the spanning part, it tells you that you need to include all of the vertices of the original graph, because that is the definition of the spanning tree. It could just be the same as the normal trees, tree, subtree, where it's a subgraph, but this one you need to include all the vertices. If the graph G is something like this, a spanning tree would can look something like this. It removes the it removes the cycle here, but everyone has a path. Here you could go from here, here you could go from here by this. Includes the same vertices 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Includes all the vertices, because that's the definition of the spanning tree. You need to include all the vertices from the original graph on here. This is original graph G. This is spanning tree of G. All vertices connected, no cycles. That's what you do. That is what everything means. Okay? That is what the spanning tree is. Wow! Look at the progress we're making. Well, I'm making anyway, to explain it. I know a lot of people might think, do I understand it? But let's do the checklist. We did this. 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 Okay, we talk about this. Okay, Lemmas. Yeah, we can get to. But hopefully you're enjoying the adventure with me. Honestly, learning is super fun, and I'm excited. It's very well. Okay, minimum weight spanning tree. This is an example of a spanning tree. So let's write that down. Minimum weight spanning tree. Now we will work on the minimum weight spanning tree when we get to the activity sheet, because they have a lot of understanding from here, the questions. We're just gonna work on the concept for it first before we apply it to the activity sheet 1 boss, which we will do next episode, if there will be. Hopefully, if the engagement is there, we'll just do the concept. Minimum weight, you know what that means. Minimum means the smallest, and the weight is from here, weighted, where it's number for each vertex. Now each edge has a weight, each edge has a distance. So we know what minimum weight is. Smallest weight. Spanning tree is a type of tree. So let's annotate. Minimum, smallest. Weight relates to edges, because you can only put weights on an edge. Spanning tree is type of graph. So what does a minimum weight spanning tree mean? It means a spanning tree such as this one, or this one, that has the minimum weight, that each of the edges combined is a minimum weight that you can find. Because obviously a graph with cycles, they can have multiple spanning trees, 2 or more spanning trees, but we just want the one that has the minimum weight, because that is a minimum weight spanning tree. Similarly, maximum weight spanning tree, finding a spanning tree that has the maximum weight. But we're not doing that. We're doing the minimum weight. We know that, okay? We understand. That is the minimum weight spanning tree. Click. Okay, these lemmas. You might not know what a lemma means. I don't think I know what a lemma means. All I know is that these are statements that are always true. This, in mathematics, you must have came across something such as even, add, even is always even. Such as something like something big. And then you would be thinking, oh, let's do some even numbers, 2, 6, 8. But then when we add them together, 2 add 8 is 10. Oh, it's even. How does that make sense? What kind of logic is that? And then you prove it mathematically using 2n. 2n is 4n, and then you can do this, and 2 multiplied by this is 2m, so it'll always be even, or something. But these are statements that are always true, being proven. We can prove it. Are we gonna prove these lemmas? Probably not, because lemmas done. I mean, they're not done, but yeah. Okay, these two are big bunches, okay, because these are algorithms used to calculate the minimum weight spanning tree. As I said, algorithm. What is an algorithm? Well, let's write down what algorithm is and move look at them. Algorithm. You start off somewhere. this is your end point. An algorithm has a start point and an end point, and the algorithm uses the start point and gives you steps in order to get to the end point, because that is the meaning of the algorithm. It's a series of steps to get from the start point to the end point, whatever it is. You understand these two? Hopefully I've explained it, and hopefully it's been a useful video. You've been enjoying the learning process of. I know it's still early stages. I'm still developing, I'm still understanding. It's a bit tough speaking for around around I don't know how many minutes now, but hopefully you enjoyed it. And if you want, and next episode we will do activity sheet 1. If you want to see that, it's mainly a series that I would like to pursue, because it makes sense. If I can teach it to you, I will understand it better. But if you can find value from it, it'll make it so amazing. So I'm so happy you can see that we ticked all of the elements that I wanted to tick off. And so thank you anyway to the world, and yeah.